All right, in this pad you can see before I did anything, I took the readings, what channel and the readings. Now I got to hold on, the light's flickering. It's being a jerk. Okay, uh, so I took what the channel was and the reading, measured the signal strength from the television, and in most cases it was 75. The channels from Philly are very strong. Now, originally I bought these two Winegard antennas, and I was going to feed them. Um, Originally, both of them were going to be aimed at Harrisburg. They were going to come down to that combiner that I showed you on the last video. Go to an ICE amplifier or a juice amplifier, and then to the television set. So all hell broke loose. It didn't work right. It was just something was wrong. So I started rethinking it, and then I read you got to have the same length wire from the combiner to each antenna. Otherwise, it causes a bottleneck, bad impedance, whatever you want to call it. It messes it up. So I had dropped back to one antenna, straight to the juice amplifier, and then down. And I was getting good reception from Philly, but I'm missing stations. Now in Philly, I'm missing 29, which is really on 31.1, something like that. And so I think it's in a different location because I get 17 and I get 10. And I've been watching Antenna Man, and he seems to get those three together. So I think it's a location. So by me putting a second antenna up there, I can tweak in the Philly station, which is Fox. All right. Now, the reason I want Fox, I do enjoy The Simpsons. I haven't watched The Simpsons in a while. I believe they're still on. Well, anyway, I'm trying to get just a couple more stations. And the Fox station, which is on 29, it has the movie channel, it has the weather, and it's got a couple other things. It's got 8 channels. So that's what I'm shooting for. I'm sort of giving up on the Harrisburg. Now, Harrisburg, there is a Fox affiliate, and there is a PBS. But I'm one step at a time. So today, what did I do today? I went up there and I disconnected the wire from the antenna that goes to the juice amplifier. And I stuck in line the combiner with the new wires. Now, if you read this, all right, let's see if it's in focus. Well, I'll just tell you what it says. It says quad shielded coax cable. All right, that should have been something that triggered me. Now I have this company and Better Wire that I recently bought, and I realized it's better. What I have is I have a boatload of cable TV wire. I had a guy that owed me a lot of favors, and every time I did him a favor, he gave me more coax. But it was meant for the cable TV company. And I don't think the wire was meant to go up in the UHF stations. In other words, it was their band, whatever band they used, and it was only the wire for the street was two two shields. The wire for inside the house was single shield. Now this new wire stuff is 4 shields. There's a reason for that. The impedance, the amount of less attenuation. So I was basically mixing junk wire in with the good stuff. Now I do have the good stuff because when I was first designing the antenna for this house, it warned you, get this coax when you're doing long runs. I said, got to get that. And then last year or 2 years ago, when I started this dual antenna idea, it said, I think it supplied one of the wires with the juice antenna. Or it recommended using a certain wire, and I bought it. So now I run the television this morning. I write down every channel I get and the signal strength. Then I go up there and I disconnect the wire that goes to the juice antenna to the combiner. I put that in the combiner. I run one of the two wires that come out of the combiner to one of the antennas. Now the other wire that's hanging out free right now, that's going to go to another antenna. And the next experiment is the second antenna is also going to aim at Philly. And I'm going to try to find out where that station is, 29. It might be in the same place. It might just be lower. And I'll see if I can snag that channel. If it doesn't, then I might reverse the antennas and go for some Harrisburg. All right, but I do get 10.1 out of Philly is Cozy TV. Now, the King of Queens is on Cozy TV at night now. It used to be Frasier for many years. And see, I have certain shows that before I go to bed, I put them on because I won't say they're boring. You get a chuckle once in a while, but they're not really. There's no one's being shot, and it's sort of. I sit there and I get in the mood to go to bed, to go to sleep, and that's what I talk to other seniors, and they say the last 2 hours of the day, they watch something relaxing on television, and that's what I've been doing. Same thing, but it's funny. I think I got some bad wires in there. They're not open. They do pass signal, but they attenuate a lot. And they're for older cable TV system. I have boxes of this stuff. And it's not the quad. It's not the new stuff that's meant for television antennas. It's meant for cable television, which is two different things. Cable television uses much higher signals. And so the wire doesn't have to be really perfect. What they were worrying about was leakage, messing up the police systems. Now, I won't get into that. I did some consulting. There's a lot of funny stories with stuff. The connectors they were using on the pole would rot out, and they get leakage. And the fire department, when they were responding to a fire, over their walkie-talkie, their walkie-talkie unit, they would start getting cable TV channels. And the FCC stepped in and made them do audits. And I learned all this through the guy I was consulting through. I was explaining stuff to him so he could go into work and look like a hero. Anyway, so we're looking good. I'm really happy. When I saw that my signal strengths were the same after I put that combiner in there, I started going, this is going better than the last time. But I want to do it step by step. See, you're doing it, you're probably going to buy all new wire and just buy good quality, and you might not have some of the problems I've been having. But anytime I have a problem with something, I don't give up. I give up for a while. I walk away from it, and I start thinking about it. And what did I do wrong? What went wrong? How come it went wrong? So you look at cable wire, with the ends, and you just say, wire is wire. It's not. Like I said, I have boatloads of wire that was for cable television. It came off the pole, and the wire that came off the pole had 2 shields on it, and the wire inside the house had a single shield. Now this stuff has 4. It's quad shield, and you can tell just the connectors are much higher quality on it, and that's where I'm at. And hopefully this helps you out. You can put 2 antennas into one TV, but each wire that goes to each antenna from the combiner or splitter, whatever you use, they have to be the same length, or they cause some type of interference, bottleneck, phase problem, whatever you want to call it, impedance problem. And that's what I learned after I totally went down in flames a couple of years ago, last year, whenever I did this, the last time. And I knew I was in over my head. The fact that my signals are very, very weak here. And I flipped to Philly, and I was getting really good signals. So I said, all right, I got to watch Philly stuff. And WGAL, which is our local channel, Channel 8, it comes in perfectly, even on the back of the antenna. It's a really strong station. So I have my local news and everything. And then the other channels, they're networks. So it really doesn't matter where you grab it from. But then you start going to the sub channels and you realize you're missing laugh. No laugh. But Philly's got cozy, and the other one doesn't have cozy. And so, in other words, you have to. There is a trade-off. But what you want to end up doing, like in my case, I want to gain one more group of channels. You know, a channel with sub channels, and this is the best it's ever looked for me at this point. And I'll let you know how I'm making out. You know, but you got to remember the two wires that come off. Each wire that goes from the combiner to each of your antennas. They can be different kinds of antennas, but the wire has to be the same length. That's the trick. And I always tell you, when I learn something I didn't know, I'm going to pass it on to you. Now, Televis, I went looking, and I watched Antenna Man, and he mentions that the Televis review that he did, what he was paid for it. Now, what did I notice? All right. First of all, he always shows the antenna he's reviewing and how much better it works on the last two compared to the last two antennas. Well, the last two antennas that he had weren't amplified. The last two amplifiers he had didn't have the extra elements to do lower frequencies. So in other words, the Televis was able to pick up a station that no other antenna he ever reviewed did. Well, that's because they put this giant low band VHF element on the antenna. Right? So the review is, I won't say it's biased, it's misleading. I want to be very, if I say a company, it's misleading. I also don't like the way the new Televis, the mounting mast comes up through the antenna elements. I said, why does this look so weird looking? And then I went back and looked at other models. And at some point, the balance point of the antenna needed to be moved forward. And they moved it forward. And, you know, because I was ready to plunk down some money. But I started going reading reviews, go read the complaints. And then one guy said that his other antennas, which were Televis, worked better than the new one. But what he did was he wanted more signal, but he bought an antenna that basically had a different band. So he sees the same amount of gain that he saw with the other antenna, because the new antenna is made to pick up a not long wave, a low band VHS, and that's on his cable or his system. He doesn't have that. So that antenna is not going to do him any good. And that's what you got to be very careful with all this. You got to think it all through. And I put the time into it. And like today, it was overcast. I went out for a long walk. And I'm like, the attic's going to be cool. So now I set my mind to come home, do the frequencies or the channel numbers and the amount of signal. And then go up there and add in that combiner box. And right now, only one side is being used, but you would expect with just one antenna hooked to the combiner box, it would be unbalanced and you lose some signal, but you don't. And I was real happy with that. Now, when I add the other antenna, I could have a problem with maybe they're the same model, some type of a phasing problem, or they're too close together, or yeah. See, now the problems that can go wrong have been lessened. And originally I was going to go up there with the other antenna and just put it all together and come down and see if I get anything. And then this morning I go, no, put the channel numbers down, put the readings there on a paper. Now go up there and add in the combiner on just one side. One antenna down through the combiner, out of the combiner to the juice amp, down to the television set. That's what I did, and I'm very happy with so far what's going on. So now, if a problem comes up, it's the two antennas are too close to each other. I'm putting them side by side. I know if you stack them on top of each other, I was taught in tech school 5 foot between each other. There's interaction. So I'm going for something different there. But I got it to the point now I know where uh, I basically can tweak it if that 29 is in a different location. And then I can add 29, and then I got my Fox. I got some other, I got that, a movie channel, the weather. That's what I'm shooting for. I want a few more channels. All right. I know you guys have seen other videos, and they have diagrams and everything. I'm very pragmatic with what I do. I do things step by step. And when something goes wrong, at some point I give up for a while. I walk away from it, and I think, what did I do wrong? How can I do a test? How can I break this up? And I do that with the radios. How can I separate the two halves of the radio and get the problem on one side of the radio, and the other side it's not there? I split the radio in half. And if you saw me working on radio, I pulled the mixer out at one point, trying to get rid of the crackle noise. The crackle noise, the arcing was the regulator tube was bad. And then, of course, I went off on a tangent, tracking down the arcing and ghosts that are coming in from the power lines. I went off on that. But I give up for a while, and I think about it, and I do some extra testing, and then usually it leads me to some type of fix. But winter's coming, and I would like, I can go without PBS, because the only thing I really watch on PBS is This Old House. I don't even know if it's on it used to be the New Yankee Workshop. I used to watch that. I think that stuff's not even on anymore. I did see This Old House the other day when one of the PBSs was working, and I watched it, and I'm like, the guys have all gotten old. Rich Tathui, whatever his name, I think he left. And, I'm getting old too. I'm here 17 years. And since I've been here, probably 75% of the people I knew have died since I'm here. It might be even higher. And I started thinking today, again, about the lake. I picked a spot to live, and it's cheap, but there's no lake. I got streams. I can go fishing. I have property that's on Mill Creek. I can go down and stand on my common area. I own part of it. I could stand there, and I can fish without a license, technically. If you want, I could still, get snagged and then have to go to court. But anyway, because it's not stocked, it's natural bass in there. But anyway, I own property, and I have a creek running through it that has fish in it, right? But I don't have a lake, and I didn't realize that. And the other thing too, you don't have here is you go for a long walk, and it's farmland. There's no trees. You're walking on sidewalks, yeah, but there's no trees. You go over Belleville, New Jersey, go for a walk up to Nutley, up to Clifton, up to Montclair, around. I could go for an 8-hour walk and walk under trees the whole time. So even if it was a 90-degree day, if the humidity was low, I could go for a 6-hour walk and never have the sun hit me. Technically, I'd be under the trees the whole time. And there'd be water fountains. Every park had a running water fountain. Here, they're not always on. You get to the park, and you could sit in a bench that's in the shade. Here, they have trouble with the homeless, so a lot of benches have been removed. And the other big thing in New Jersey is every few miles there's a mom and pop sandwich shop, and you stop in there, and they cook roast beef fresh, and they slice it for you, and you can get pastas, and that doesn't exist here. I have what's the name of the seafood place? I have a Red Lobster. I have a Five Guy Burger just down the street. Go up, or down and make a turn. But I don't have a mom and pop place. Now across town there was a place called T. Burke, and he was a caterer out in Rutherford, New Jersey. And I used to stop and talk to him and get a sandwich, and he sold, and then the people that bought it got caught during COVID, and they closed it down. And that was a place you could go and get real roast beef cooked on the premises. There's a lot going on that I should say has disappeared on me. When I bought here, I looked at all what the pros and the cons and how much it costs and would I be able to bounce back? And yes, I did all that. I bounced back, and things are disappearing, and it's becoming big box. You know, the shopping mall near me nearly banged up, and then Ollie's and Gabe's moved in there. The it used to be a betting parlor, became the was it it's PennDOT? Anyway, you go get your driver's license. I'll think of it. They use a different name out here. And yeah, little stores. I have stores going up the highway. The big shopping mall, Rockville, is closing up. They're putting houses back in there. So it's changed. Things are changing here. But, you know, when it's snowing out, I go out and shovel. And then I come in, I throw a TV show on. Or I want the news. I want to see them show me how many more inches we're going to get. I get that on WGL, which is Channel 8. I have everything, you know, old movies. I lost a movie channel I had. I lost Defy. Defy had, I told you, American Choppers, American Pickers, and a bunch of the other shows too. The guy that rebuilds stuff, American Restoration, he was on that channel. Every day was a different guy. The only part of that is on, I think it's Roar, the Forged in Fire. I hate that show. I just hate that show. I didn't realize that was causing a problem with my business. So people were asking me about sharpening knives and so I didn't know what it was. I didn't realize there was a thing on cable and that people wanted to play make believe. Uh, yeah, yeah. I told you I was teasing the guy the other day. He's got 5 automobiles, and the one he was going to drive when I was talking to him is all held together with tie wraps. I'm not kidding you. I mean, he has boxes of tie wraps in the car. It's funny. Guy's a nice guy. He's hilarious. But when he told me he had 5 other cars, I watching it. No, it's not going to happen. He's playing. He isn't playing make believe, but he is playing make believe. And then one of his friends that was there said he was an auto mechanic. But you know, when I get into something, I really get into it. That's why, you know, this has been bothering me. They've repacked my area twice, and I have a tree in the way now, and the tree is knocking out channel 10. But the first repack, I didn't know what happened to me. I didn't know what happened. I'm losing channels, and I'm thinking maybe a squirrel got up in the attic and chewed through the wire. Then I go to move the antenna, and it disintegrates. All the plastic pieces just. And that thing was like $85 for that antenna. Yeah, it just fell apart. And then I ordered. I started using other types of antennas, and then realizing a lot of the antennas don't have low VHF. And now there's really nothing low VHF except dirty channel 6 out of Philly. And that's the one, if you watched Antenna Man, he mentions that they call it Dirty 6. People in Philly can't pick that station up. So, you know, and a really good antenna can get you that station. So, you know, I watch this stuff, and I have 2 good Winegard antennas. They're for the repack. They're set up for high VHF and UHF. They're made for today's over-the-air television. They're not junk. They're $85 each. I have 2 of them, and that's what I'm using. And then, like I said, I got that the Winegard combiner. I got the Juice amplifier. I always call it Ice, but it's Juice. It's a good amplifier. And you know, I've been looking at the televisors, but then I go reading the reviews, and some people say it doesn't work any better than this antenna. It doesn't work any better than that antenna. That's because the last model does VHF low, and here only dirty channel 6 in Philly is on that frequency. I think that's it. All right, that's it. Hopefully the computer kept going.